You know, there's some movies that you can only see one time, and this may be one of them. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. All right, now we have For Color Girls. This came out in 2010 and it is rated R, coming in at 2 hours and 13 minutes. This is being described as coming of age, psychological drama, and drama. Now, of course, this is being written and directed by Mr. Tyler Perry. This is what the gentleman looks like right here. But also there's another writer, this lovely sister right here. Unfortunately, she is not with us anymore. She passed away in 2018. I want to pronounce her name correctly. Ntozake Shange, and I'm gonna...
Ntozake Shange.
Yes. She is the writer as well as Tyler Perry for this film, For Color Girls. Now, also, this is the first Tyler Perry movie that was rated R from the MPAA. And if you have seen it, you will know exactly why. Now, of course, we all do know Tyler Perry. If we look at his filmography, we know that he is responsible for all the Medea movies and also a number of TV shows like Divorced Sisters, Beauty in the Black. He also just had Straw that recently came out on Netflix. And I just know Miss Shange because she was the author of the original play and or poem that came out in 1975. Now, as far as my expectations are concerned with this film, I did see it originally when it came out in theaters in 2010. I thought it was good or great at the time. I really don't remember. I just had positive thoughts. But right now, me and my homie Kimberly, we're going through all of the Tyler Perry films that we did like or just had positive thoughts about. Again, because Straw just came out a few months ago. I did not like it. A lot of people did. And so we just wanted to stick to the positive. So I like a lot of Tyler Perry's earlier work, but when it comes to his work as of late, like Acrimony, A Fall from Grace, Duplicity, I just think he's really missing the mark. I did like 6888 that came out November of last year, 2024 on Netflix, you know, but with Tyler Perry, it's a flip of a coin. And again, we just wanted to stay positive over here. So we're kind of having a little Tyler Perry marathon. But this film specifically, all I do remember is one, I don't want to say, because if you haven't seen the film, I don't want to spoil anything for you here, but there was only two scenes that I remember from the first time I saw it. If you do want to know what I'm talking about, you got to subscribe and click on the spoilers review for Color Girls that we have. And I already shot that with Miss Kimberly Kern. We shot that right before I'm recording this video right now. So before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes for the Color Girls, let me tell you exactly what this film is all about. Each of the women portray one of the characters represented in the collection of 20 poems revealing different issues that impact women in general and women of color in particular. When I first hit play for my rewatch for this video, I didn't remember much, as I said, but about 30 minutes in, I said, wow, a lot of this movie just sounds very poetic. You know, what's going on here? What am I missing? I paused the movie, pulled out my phone, went to IMDb, and I read that this is represented in a collection of 20 poems. Now, before I comment more on that sense, I do want to say that out of all of the Tyler Perry movies that I've ever seen, whether it's Medea or a more serious movie, dramedy, whatever, I think For Color Girls is the best as far as the acting and or performances. This entire cast brought the fire. I'm talking Oscar nominations. Seriously, I can't understand why they were not considered when this movie came out in 2010. Now, of course, when you are rating a film, you do need to judge the whole movie. And I do have a couple of complaints that we're going to be talking about. But when I look over here on Rotten Tomatoes, it just kind of breaks my heart that it has a 31% out of 106 reviews. The general audience did like it, but I just thought that the performances across the board were phenomenal. I don't remember everything that came out in 2010, but I can say with confidence that a lot of the portrayals in this film, the acting was possibly the best of that year, but that's just my opinion. Some of my favorite performances in this film came from Janet Jackson's character, Jo, Thandie Newton's character, Thandie, and Whoopi Goldberg. And also one more, Miss Kimberly Elise. Kimberly Elise can act her butt off. She did a great job in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and she did a better job here. I wish I can express in this video of why specifically. You just have to see the spoilers review that I already shot with Miss Kimberly Kern. Another thing I appreciate about this film is the production quality is high. It is much better than what we got in Straw and more of Tyler Perry's later work. I forgot to say this in the spoilers review, but Tyler Perry, please take note. Please give us films and television shows with the same energy that we're getting in Diary of a Mad Black Woman and I Can Do Bad All By Myself and For Color Girls in 2025. It does not make sense why your quality in acting and production should go down. I won't harp on it too much now in this video. I've talked about it ad nauseum in other videos, but sir, please take note. I also respect this film wholeheartedly. And the reason why I say that is I know that I am not the target audience for this film. At the very end, there is a caption that comes up and it says that this movie is for colored girls that went through suicide or considered suicide. I'm somewhat paraphrasing. And that's also the original title of this film. And so I applaud Tyler Perry again wholeheartedly if he's able to shed some light on a ton of traumatic events that a number of women went through in their life, just so other people like myself can be more empathetic and just have a better society as we're all trying to make it in life together. I just think Tyler Perry did a great job there of just putting societal issues up on the forefront that a lot of people may be uncomfortable or afraid to talk about in the general public. The title of the movie is For Colored Girls, and I love the use of color in this film as well. This movie covers a vast cast of women and they all represent a different color, and it also can be considered of like what they're going through. You have a lady in red, lady in purple, blue, yellow, orange, etc. And I love how that's illustrated at the very end of the movie as all the women are coming together and try to console themselves. Even though it just really wasn't my cup of tea and I resonated with it on a personal level, I can understand how somebody else can. And again, I do respect it. It was still put together very, very well. In the play, there were no names. Everyone was described as a color, but the characters in this film do have names. And I think that that made it come to life a little bit more. Sometimes you have plays, poems, and films, and they always just can't be adapted evenly across the board. Sometimes it's just best to stay in its original format. And Tyler Perry, he did swing, as far as I'm concerned, trying to adapt this poem to a play and to a movie. And whether he was successful or not is subjective and completely up to you. This is a very sad and heavy movie. You're not going to feel good by the end of it. I necessarily can't say that there's light at the end of the tunnel because there are just some tragedies that some women or people in general will never get over. If your child is murdered, if you're raped, or both those things happen to you, you got $200,000 stolen out of your account. It's just some things you're just never going to recover from. And I think it was a bold decision, especially if there's not a happy ending, for you to put something like this up on the screen because people are going to be depressed. That's probably why the rating at 31% is so low on Rotten Tomatoes. And again, not like Rotten Tomatoes is the end all be all. I mean, those are just 106 critics. I'm on RT myself. And so you don't got to listen to me. You know, you can if you want to, or you don't have to. But as far as my complaints with the film, I don't want to say that it's just too traumatic because I mean, this is what people go through and they shouldn't have to suffer in silence. It's my responsibility to look up a film and to see what it's about and if I want to take part in it. One of my main gripes with the film is when characters are expressing all the trauma that they're going through, it goes from dialogue, monologue to a poem. And that just didn't translate to me that well. It wasn't that effective. It did not seem genuine. It felt rehearsed. It felt practiced. It felt like they were reciting a poem. And the other surrounding characters that they were delivering these lines to, it just didn't seem realistic at all. Now, I do agree with every word that was said in those poems. It just wasn't the right setting for majority of these expressions. The only ones that worked for me was when Thandie Newton's character, Tangi, was speaking with her younger sister's character, Tessa Thompson. Her character was Nyla. They had a sister-sister exchange, and they went from dialogue to monologue to poem, and that worked. That was seamless. It felt real. It felt genuine. It did not feel rehearsed. It felt like two sisters really loving and expressing each other. There was also a scene with Loretta Devine's character, Juanita, as she was expressing all of her trials and tribulations to a lot of her patients at a local clinic and or hospital. That felt real. That felt genuine. That felt true. It didn't feel rehearsed or practiced or programmed or anything like that. And I ate that all up. But all the other characters, while the performances were great, when they transitioned over to their poetic moments, it just really clocked me out. And so I will say, and that happened at one point in the middle of the movie. So I liked the first act and the third act, but the second act was a struggle for me. There is a rape scene in this movie that made me very, very uncomfortable. So I can only imagine that it makes a woman 10 times more uncomfortable. And there is murder in this movie as well. And a great job there is, at least the victims, it showcases exactly what they're going through, and people are living in pain right now. So this movie overall is great, and I do respect it, but it's not for me, and it's a bit heavy and something that I don't want to see on a repeat viewing. I am glad that it was made, but if someone put a gun to my head and said, Brandon, there is a story called Four Color Girls that goes through 20 different poems of women's lives and all of their trials and tribulations. You only have one choice. Choice number one is you can witness this story in the form of a play, or you can witness this story in the form of a film. Which would you pick? I would pick a play. I like stage plays, and I just think that things would have translated a lot better there. But that's just me, okay? If you feel differently, that's perfectly fine. I said that I'm not the target audience. I don't need to be the target audience. Every movie and television show doesn't need to be tailored to fit Brandon Keith Avery's preferences. That's just ridiculous. I think that when Tyler Perry wrote this and put this together, that he did reach the people that he did want to meet. As far as that's concerned, it's a success. Maybe not financially, unfortunately, but it's a success. If you want more detail and spoiler form on how I feel about this film, click subscribe and click the link in the description box or the pinned comments that will lead you to this movie review in spoiler form. We talked for about an hour, a little over an hour. Had a lot of fun. It was daunting, but you really should be part of the conversation. And also let me know your thoughts on this film too and my commentary. I don't want to give a rating for this right now. I'll just say that it's positive. But guys, I want to thank you again so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace. I'll see you next time.